Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the hidden forces that shape our economy. You know, the ones that quietly influence everything from the price of your coffee to the interest rate on your mortgage. We're talking about monetary policy, and trust me, it's a fascinating story. So let's get right into it.
So right at the heart of all this is a question that's bugged economists for decades. Can you really control inflation, keep prices from going crazy without tanking the economy and losing jobs? Is that an impossible choice we're always forced to make? Well, let's find out.
All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with a simple idea that seemed like a silver bullet for the economy. Then, we'll see how that idea just completely fell apart and how that failure actually sparked a revolution in how we think about economics. And from there, we'll get into the tools we use today, why trust is literally the most important asset, and what it all means for the future.
Okay, so let's rewind to the mid-20th century. It was a pretty stable time, economically speaking, and economists felt like they'd stumbled upon a fundamental law of the universe, a simple lever they could just pull to steer the entire economy exactly where they wanted it to go.
And that lever had a name, the Phillips Curve. The idea was beautifully simple, really. When unemployment goes down, inflation tends to go up. And when unemployment goes up, inflation tends to go down. It looked like a predictable, stable trade-off.
And you know what? For about 20 years, this wasn't just a theory, it actually worked. I mean, look at the data from the US during that time. It's a clear, predictable pattern. It was almost like policymakers had a menu they could order from. I'll take a little less unemployment, please, with a side of slightly higher inflation. Easy.
And this created this incredibly powerful, but as it turns out, totally wrong idea that economic management was basically a solved problem. The thinking was, hey, if we just accept a little bit more inflation, we can permanently keep unemployment low. It seemed too good to be true.
But then, the 1970s happened, and that neat, tidy relationship between inflation and unemployment didn't just bend, oh no, it completely shattered.
The global economy got slammed by a series of shocks, especially big spikes in oil prices. Suddenly, the old rules just didn't seem to apply anymore. And that simple Phillips curve model, well, it was about to be proven catastrophically wrong.
And the difference is just wow. Look at this. On the left, you've got that orderly, predictable world of the 50s and 60s. And on the right, total chaos. The data points are all over the place. That simple trade-off was just gone.
What came next was a new and frankly terrifying economic phenomenon: stagflation. The economy was stagnating, so you had high unemployment, and prices were soaring with high inflation. According to the old model, this was supposed to be impossible. It was like having a heat wave during a blizzard. It just didn't make any sense.
So this massive failure of the existing theories sent economists scrambling back to the drawing board. And what came out of that crisis was a totally new and much deeper understanding of what really makes an economy tick.
A big part of this was thanks to an economist named Robert Lucas. He pointed out a huge fundamental flaw in the old way of thinking. The models completely forgot about people. He argued that we're not just mindless robots. We're thinking, forward-looking beings, and we change our behavior based on what we think is going to happen next.
And here is the absolute key insight. The original Phillips curve only seemed to work because nobody really expected much inflation. But as soon as government started trying to exploit it to lower unemployment, people caught on. We started to expect higher inflation, so workers demanded higher wages and businesses raised their prices to get ahead of it. The rules of the game changed, and that simple trade-off just vanished.
So that big aha moment about expectations led to a complete reinvention of monetary policy, and it created the sophisticated framework that central banks around the world rely on today.
At its heart, the modern framework is built on a really powerful idea. What we all expect to happen tomorrow directly changes what we do today. So the new models have expectations baked right into them. They recognize that our collective beliefs are a massive economic force, and a central bank's main job is now to manage those beliefs.
So how do you actually manage expectations? Well, one of the key ideas is something called the Taylor principle, and it basically says you have to be aggressive. If inflation is expected to go up by, say, 1%, the central bank can't just raise interest rates by 1%. That's like jogging in place on a treadmill. You feel like you're doing something, but you're not actually getting ahead. They have to raise rates by more than 1%. That's what actually makes borrowing more expensive in real terms, and that's what cools things down.
And this really gets at a huge challenge for central bankers. Not all economic problems are created equal.
A demand shock, like if everyone suddenly gets a bonus and wants to go on a spending spree, that's relatively straightforward to manage. But a supply shock, like a sudden spike in oil prices, that is an absolute nightmare. It pushes inflation up and growth down at the same time, forcing policymakers into a really painful choice.
Which brings us to what might be the most fundamental truth of modern monetary policy. It turns out a central bank's most powerful tool isn't actually setting interest rates. It's the public's trust in them. It's all about credibility.
See, there's this problem that economists call time inconsistency. Policymakers are always tempted to try and give the economy a little short-term boost, maybe right before an election. But if everyone knows they have that temptation, we all start expecting more inflation. And in the end, you just get higher inflation with zero long-term economic benefit.
And you see this kind of problem everywhere, right? A government might promise low taxes to get a company to build a factory and then raise the taxes once the factory is built and can't move. Or a central bank might swear it's going to be tough on inflation, but then face enormous political pressure to cut rates the moment unemployment ticks up. This is exactly why having a credible, locked-in commitment to a strategy is so absolutely crucial.
So, if we put all these pieces together, what does the job of a modern central banker actually look like today? What is it all really about?
Well, for one thing, it is unbelievably complex. Just look at all the ways a single decision on interest rates can ripple through the economy. It hits bank lending, stock prices, the housing market, currency exchange rates, business investment. It's this huge interconnected web, and policymakers have to think about all of it at once.
But really, the single biggest lesson from the last half-century of economics is this. All of that complexity, all those different channels are ultimately guided by one thing: expectations. The most important job of a central bank today is to manage what we all think is going to happen tomorrow. If they can anchor our expectations of the future, they can provide stability for all of us in the present.
And that, of course, leaves us with the ultimate challenge. The whole system, our entire modern economic framework, depends on being able to manage expectations about the future. But in a world that is constantly throwing new shocks and crises at us, a world that's fundamentally uncertain, how predictable can we ever really be?